Happy Ganesh Chaturthi to everyone. So our today's question is length of the longest V-shaped diagonal segment. Okay, the question is hard, marked as hard, just because we can took a turn in our path. Okay, so I am going to explain you question very simple way. So let's start the question. Okay, so this is the question. Whenever we are on the one index, whenever we found the one, okay, in our grid matrix we only have three elements, 0, 1 and 2. Okay, so our sequence has to be followed by one. First element was 1 and then other elements are 2 0 2 0, infinite sequence. Okay, so in this case 1, then 2, then 0. This is the longest sequence. Okay, and I am going to tell you why. So the to decrease the complexity of this question, I am not going to use the turn. Okay, for now we have four direction for one. Okay, for this direction, this direction, this direction and this direction, these are the four direction. Okay, and for these four direction we have to return the maximum sequence. Okay, for this one, if we go follow this sequence, it will return a 3. The length of the sequence is 3, like 1, 2 and 0. Okay, if you go on this direction, what is the length of the sequence is 1 and 2, because the next element is not 0. Okay, for if you go on this direction, it will return us 3. Okay, the length of this 2 0 is 2 and we have to add 1. We have to also consider our 1. If you follow this sequence, this will give us 3 and the maximum among 4 is 3, so we have to return 3. But there is a catch. Okay, when we follow this sequence, if we are on this direction, okay, this direction is nothing but 1 plus 1. Okay, we have four direction. How we can calculate that? Okay, so if we have this direction, this is 2, and how we are calculating our next row and next column? For these two, our row, for these two, our column was increased and our row was also increased. Okay, if we are standing on this, we have to go on this, so we have to increase our column and row. Okay, so after increasing our row and column by 1 we are going on this direction. Okay, and in the question they are saying you have to go in the clockwise direction. Okay, so after this, the next direction was this. Okay, and this is nothing but row plus plus and column minus minus, means we have to add 1 in our row and decrease column by 1. Okay, and the next direction was, okay, so for our first direction was this 2. Okay, and then next direction was this 2 and our next direction was 2. Okay, and how we are calculating this? We have to go clockwise. So our first direction was this, second direction was this, third direction was this, and this is nothing but our row was decreased and also column was also decreased. Okay, so if you are standing on this, we have to go on this, so our row and column was decreased. So that's how I written here, row and column was decreased. Okay, for now our third direction was fourth direction was this. Okay, so clockwise directions are 2, then this direction, then this direction, and then this direction. These four directions we have. Okay, after, so for this direction we have to decrease our row and increase our column. So this is what I wrote here. We have to decrease our row, increase our column. Okay, and you can take a turn in sequence. Okay, let's see. If you are standing on 1, then you can go on 2. Okay, for 2 you have two options. You can follow the same sequence when you come from, you can follow this sequence, or you can turn and you are allowed to take only one turn. This is mentioned in the question. Okay, so if for you can go on this 0, and this is also valid because this is 0 2 0. Okay, this is the, you can do that, but you can took a turn. So this, you can go on this direction or you can go on this direction. This is the clockwise direction. Okay, if this is the direction, next direction was this. And how you can calculate this? Okay, if you are on this direction, then direction was last direction. Okay, minus, column minus and row plus plus, your direction was 3. Okay, if you are following this, then means your direction was 3, and the next direction was this, and this is nothing but 1 comma 1. Okay, so how you can find the next direction? So whatever your direction, if you are on standing 3 direction, you have to also go on 4. That means you can direction plus 1, and 3 plus 1 is 4. If you mod by 4, you are again go to 0. Okay, how you can do that? If you are on this direction, that means you are on this direction, and you have to turn on the next direction. So you just need to add 1 in direction. Okay, 0 plus 1 is 1, and you can get your next turn. Okay, and if you are on first direction, next direction was 2. Okay, so you are just have need to direction plus 1 and mod by 4. Okay, this is your directions. Okay, so for every direction, okay, let's see for this direction. Okay, you have to follow 202020 sequence. Okay, so for 2, there you have two options. You can go follow the same direction. This is okay, you can just add 1 and 1 in your row and column. Okay, so if you add 2 row and 1 column, you can reach here, and this is not a valid sequence because you need to find 0, so it will return you a 0. So for every sequence you have two options. If you can go here and if you can go here. Okay, so let's see. So you come here, you go here, you can't go here, so then you can take a turn, and this turn, what is turn is next turn, and next turn is nothing but this. Okay, 0 plus 1 is 1, and the next turn was this, and you are then you can decrease your turn value. Okay, you are allowed only one turn, so you can minus 1, and your turn was 0. So for this is the sequence, and you can go there. Okay, this is your sequence. Okay, now I am going to explain you. Okay, let's see. You are not okay, okay, just 1, and now your next sequence was 2. Okay, you are following this direction. Okay, for this 2 you have two directions options. You can follow the same direction, or you can take next turn, and next turn is clockwise turn, and clockwise turn is this. Okay, so you can follow this path. Okay, for every 2 or every sequence you have two options. Okay, so you are choosing, let's say you choose this 0. Okay, out of 2 you choose this 0. For this 0 you also have a two options. Okay, you can go follow the same direction, or you can go to the turn, use the turn. Okay, so you have to return maximum of this, like, come on, this is the sequence. Okay, if it is 0 and it is 2. Okay, now let just follow this path. Okay, 1 2, if it is 0 also, and if it is 2, instead of 0 it is 2. Okay, let's see. You have to return 1 0, the maximum of this subsequence, or maximum of this sequence, or maximum of this. Okay, because for every 0 you can took a two directions. You can follow the same direction, or you can took a turn. So this is the option. Okay, and for how you can calculate the turn. Okay, if you are on 2, for next search you have to follow 0. Okay, and for next 0 you have to follow 2. So for that you can just simply write 2 minus whatever you are searching. Okay, you can write, means if you are searching 2, the next what you have to search is 0, so you can just write 2 minus 2 and you get 0. Okay, so I am going to explain you in the code. Okay, you just need to 2 minus search. You are searching elements. Okay, after 2, the next sequence was 0, next sequence was 2, next sequence was 0. You are searching the elements. Okay, if you just minus 2 minus search, you will get the answer. I am going to explain you in the code. So the basic idea is this, and you have to memorize this solution also. Okay, so now I am going to explain the code. The code is very lengthy, so I am going to just simply explain you the code. Okay, so we have a 4 directions. Okay, these are the 4 direction. This is like first direction. If you are following the right down approach, first direction was this, second was this, third was this, and last was this. These are the 4 directions. Okay, this is the length of this is the rows, this is the column, and this is the dp. And why this dp is 4 dimension? Okay, 2 dimension is obvious because we are traversing on the grid. So I and j, these are for rows and column. Okay, first row, second column, and third was for the directions. We have 4 directions, so we third dimension is for the directions. Okay, and the final direction is for turn. Okay, so we are turn, we have to we can take a turn, clockwise turn. So the turn was, if we have one turn value equal to 1 means we can turn, and if turn value is 0, that means we can't turn. Okay, this is for turn. Okay, and I am going to initialize everything globally because otherwise the code will very lengthy. Okay, so this is the length, this is the rows, this is column, and this is the dp. That means first for rows, second for column, third was for directions and the last one for turn, okay, and filling the dp with -1, okay, and for every one, okay, we are traversing on the grid, and whenever we got one, we have to go in the 4 direction, these or this, okay, if we have to go on every 4 direction, and whatever the maximum answer we are getting, we have to return it, and what parameters we are sending, I j to find the index, and d for the direction that we are following. If we are going to this direction, that means we are giving the index of this direction, okay, so and then we can just add these values to get the direction, okay. This is for the direction, and this is turn, we are allowed to take one turn, okay, so this is the turn, and this 2 is for sequence. For 1 we have to find 2, then 0 to 2 and 0 to we have to search 2, okay, and this is the grid, okay. So whenever we are on index, let's see, we are on this one, okay, we are on 1, okay, so our next index was 2. If we are choosing this direction, so we go in this direction, so these are the next indexes, okay, these are the next indexes we are choosing from this, okay. So this is the direction array, and first one was row, okay, so first one was how to the first was for x direction and second was for y direction, okay. If this next row and next column was out of bound, means if it is not in our grid, then we have to return 1. Why we have to return 1? Because I am going to explain you why, okay. Let's see, we are on this one, and for 4 direction, okay, these are the 4 direction. If these 4 direction are not valid, if this is in the grid but all these are 0 0 0 0, that means this is not valid, okay. We have want 20 t0, okay, so all these 4 direction are invalid, so what we have to return 1, because we are standing on 1, okay, and this is a valid sequence, we have to return 1, okay. That's why we have to, if we return 0, our sequence, at least our sequence was 1, okay. Why? Because 1, whenever we get 1, that means our valid sequence was 1, okay. Then we are going 2 and then 0, this is adding in our 1, okay. So that's why I am returning 1, okay. Then we are just memoizing it. If we have like value in our dp, then we can directly return it, and we can calculate our answer, okay. For next row, next column, the direction was same, and turn, okay, turn, the value of turn is same, because we are not taking any turn, we are just going the same direction, okay. And this is 2 minus search, because we have to find next. If we have 2, then our next sequence was 0, and how we can find 0? 2 minus 2 is 0, and if you are standing on 0, our next value was 2, so 2 minus 0 is 2. So this is very simple, okay. So we have to search, okay. Then if we have two options, if we can directly grow on the same direction, or we can take a turn, okay. For every value, every valid sequence, we can go in the same direction, or we can take uh, the next turn, okay, the next clockwise turn. That's what I explained in the code. If the turn is greater than 0, means we left with the term turn, we have one turn option, okay, turn. So we can take the maximum both. Next, for we can solve for next index, next row, next column, and our next direction was nothing but direction plus 1 modulo 4, okay. If you are on third direction, if you plus 1 4, we have to again go on our first direction, okay. That's I'm let me explain what I'm trying to say, okay. So if you're on our third direction, okay, third direction is nothing but this direction, okay. Our row minus minus and column plus plus, okay. Then our next clockwise direction was 2, and this is like 3 plus 1 was 4, and 4 modulo 4 was 0, and this is our next direction, okay. So for this, and we use our turn, that means we have to decrease our turn value, and the next search was 2 minus search, and this is the grid, and at the end we can return our answer plus 1. Why? Because let's see why we are returning answer plus 1, okay. So whenever we are on 1, we are trying all the possible values, okay. If this sequence was valid, okay, it will give us 2. For this one, if you are traversing on this direction, that means it will give us a sequence, and this sequence return us 2, and we have to calculate our itself. Okay, so that is 1, so we have to add 1. Okay, so let's see this for 2. The sequence that it get was 0, that means it will returning 1, and you have to calculate your own value also, so you have to add 1 in itself. So we have to return answer plus 1, and before that you have to store in our dp memorize the answer. Okay, so let's try to submit it. Yeah, it gets submitted. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, do like, share, comment, subscribe.